shrieked forth his last despairing warning, and that only my own cries now broke the hideous silence. But after a while, there was a further clicking in the receiver, and I strained my ears to listen. Again, I called out, "Woman, are you there?" And in answer heard the thing which has brought this cloud over my mind. I do not try, gentlemen, to account for that thing, that voice, nor can I venture to describe it in detail, since the first words
thighs gently, yet firmly clasping the broomstick, darling. Remember, you're flying, like this. He takes her sublime flesh in his hands like a sculptor and makes the adjustment. Not for himself, he explains, but for the photograph. He studies the S-shaped curve of her body, calibrates, adjusts the lamp, checks a meter, steps behind the camera once more, master of the studio, both titan and man in the eyes of his models. The missus of the season brings tea on a silver tray, slips into the room in a gossamer robe and out with a whisper of orange blossom. He calls his helper Mrs. M, though her mother refused to sign papers and slapped the girl's ample cheeks and threatened with a leather strap.
They were right. That would be the smart move, Scott knew. What's Tina doing? She's hiding back in the room, the beds, Eric's street. If Cerise wants to let you off the hook and blame Tina, go with it. At least long enough to get home and heal up. Scott's stomach felt wrong. Too much liquor, no solid food. Reese made a face through the whiskey. I didn't need that. I should have given it to me, Scott said, stood. No more avoiding the cabin. Eric and Reese followed. On the walk back to the cabin, Scott's left hand broke free and fell away into the snow. They left it behind without a look back. It would return as soon as Scott recommitted. You divorced for Donna, he said to Eric. Maybe Tina's worth it. Eric produced a flask from his pocket and took a pull. How does this end if you keep after Tina? You have a 4-hour drive home with Cerise.
Goat cheese from a cast iron fry pan meat. Bet it was a stag. Yawning thought that it was not boar, sizzled in lard. Boiled cabbage came out of a pot that could have been 100 years old, a pot that could have been left out and storm battered by 1,000 gales. No salt, no pepper, no spices. Yawning later said he thought it odd they had no garlic or onions or potatoes or chickens. Nothing on the rough-hewn, uneven table would win a blue ribbon or a mention in any conversation about tasty. Without a word or a grumble or spitting, and not much more than a scowl in our direction, the old man's bent old wife slapped the meager rations.
Fiction, generously read to us by Les earlier. He talks about how about an aberrational phenomenon, and yet so often the hook in Lovecraft stories, of course, is finding out that this is not an aberration at all. What we are pleased to call normalcy is the aberration, is the mistake. And so often mainstream horror is falsely reassuring because evil comes to a small town and the tough flint-jawed loner and the vulnerable woman who's been hurt before and the psychic kid all band together and they form a new nuclear family. Yes, it reaffirms those rock-ribbed American values against the yawning indifference of the boy. And cosmic horror makes every other kind of horror, I think, look like comfort food. And I would say that's probably the most fundamental distinction.
I think Cody just said a key word that to me is the difference between cosmic horror and traditional supernatural, and that's indifference. Cosmic horror, I think, was Lovecraft's reaction to the science of the day, and it's only gotten worse in terms of sort of the revelations of science. That humankind is, I was just watching Cosmos, you know, the little blue speck, and in an indifferent, there's not evil coming after us, there's just a lot of shit.
And that's true.
the famous scene from Lawrence Arabia, I love. It's this vast ocean of desert, of nothing. In it, you're nothing. And if you try to walk from here to there, you're not going to make it. It's a meat grinder. It's what the Antarctic is. It's what space is. So, it just depends. It's everywhere. That's the beauty of it. I'm never going to meet a zombie except for some drug addict or whatever.
Be nice to Aaron. He works hard.
Well, is he here? Do I have to be nice now?
Yeah, no, say whatever you want.
But the unbelievable, aspects of any natural state. We can go from, a desert to an ocean. Put us in a small rowboat in the middle of the Pacific. You're going to survive. Maybe you get lucky and you find an island or something, but everything's too big for us. We, those ants, indeed we are, and this natural meat grinder. Is that what I sound like? God. So yeah, I agree with you guys completely. All right.
Does anybody want to fight us?
Well, just to add on and to add more of what everybody else has been saying. Most horror or most fiction in general is very the entire world revolves around the characters that things are happening to, and other horrors, like say things like demon possession or other things like that, it is God or demons or whatever focusing on one character. Where cosmic horror is inherently atheist in that, again, as people have been saying, the universe doesn't care that you exist. The universe is going to do its own thing with or without you. And a lot of times that is the horror of really, truly recognizing how small and insignificant you really are. It's an internal horror. It's really realizing that you amount to almost nothing in the grand scheme of things. And some people just can't deal with that.